Today is a significant day. Today is our first networking event since the 12th of March at Eden Court in 2020. For 2 years, we've looked forward to a day when we can once again come together and share a room with our friends, colleagues, and our neighbours, and it is a genuine pleasure for all of us to be here today. The World Health Organization announced a public health emergency on the 30th of January 2020, and after 782 days, on the 21st of March 2022, we will finally see those restrictions lifted. Throughout that time, if you were to have taken just a simple 2 steps per day, a left and a right step forward, you would have climbed to the 86th floor observation deck of the Empire State Building. And that would be your view. So, where do we go from here? Simply put, I think still being in business is a remarkable achievement, and every single person in this room needs to be recognised for that. So I would like to ask all of you to join me in congratulating everyone by putting your hands together and just saying a congratulations and well done to everyone. I can honestly say our role at Visit Inverness Loch Ness has never felt more meaningful to support our industry through a time that none of us could have ever possibly foreseen. And I'd like to share just a few highlights with you. Our team and our board put a real focus on sustainability, knowing the importance of it now and tackling the climate emergency. We attended COP26 with Visit Scotland, and we signed the Glasgow Tourism Declaration that followed. We've also signed the Tourism Declares a Climate Emergency commitment. We announced just earlier this year that we were the first carbon neutral business improvement district in the UK of the 330 bids. We're also working with Visit Scotland on a pilot project for a destination climate action plan to be at the leading edge of Scottish tourism. In terms of our marketing, we were awarded £80,000 from Visit Scotland to deliver out-of-season recovery marketing, and that's led to 3 outputs I'd like to highlight. The first one is a new hero video which featured Nessie, and I'm sure many of you in the room may have seen. We're also working with a wide range of influencers. I think every week this year we've had someone here, and just next week we have the Director of Marketing for LNER coming to the area to promote workcation visits. And then if you go into a shop today and you buy National Geographic Traveller magazine, the UK's #1 travel magazine, after the first 2 contents pages you will find an advert for our destination. We were also successful in launching a £45,000 project in partnership with Inverness Bid and Highland Council. This allows us to increase our resources to show the collaboration that's going to be so important in our recovery and use all of our destination's assets to better encourage people to come to the area. We've also worked with destinations across the Highlands together to do a joint campaign that's marketed to the UK and Ireland through the Highland Tourism Partnership. We've been extremely active in the media, both as an organisation and to highlight the challenges and needs of our sector. And in 2022, we've averaged being in one piece of media every single day this year so far. We've also had a remarkable performance on social media, but Joe's up next, and I'm not going to steal your thunder, Joe, so don't worry. Our business plan has progressed significantly despite the challenges of the pandemic. 1 year ago, we were at 33% of our business plan complete, and right now today we're at 79% complete, with the expectation to reach 93% by the end of May this year, fulfilling our promises to you in our business plan. Our membership has continued unwavered throughout this time. I'd like to highlight a few of the benefits of that. Firstly is our new image library. We have an incredible new image library. We spent £11,000 on it, and it has several thousand images for you to use in promoting your business on your website, on your social media, to better promote our area. Our social media continues to mention businesses. On average, 6 to 7 businesses are mentioned per day on our social media. And our website listings continue to perform strongly. In fact, one business had over 2,000 views of their listing in February alone. We will be back to hosting events like today, and again, it's a genuine pleasure to be here. You'll also be receiving our newsletter throughout this time. So every single week throughout the pandemic, you'll have received a newsletter. So hopefully not filling your inbox too much, but giving you the information you need to make good decisions and to access the grants and support that's needed. We're also providing our see and do maps. Pre-pandemic, we printed more than 160,000 of them per year. This year, we're increasing that to 200,000 and using the relationship with the Inverness City Centre bid to ensure that it best represents our area. And just the other day, I had the pleasure of walking through Inverness and saw a young couple walking with their map in hand and using it to get around our area, and that's the difference that it makes. Next off, I'd like to say a quick thank you to our team. Their tireless efforts have been absolutely incredible, and it's impossible for me to stand here and really represent their efforts. They have done an amazing job and been thinking about you every single day. So now, as we think about what comes next, many of you may have seen our banners in Inverness that run along the riverside and along the high street of the city centre as well. We raised funding to be able to do that, and we've raised a further £15,000 to allow us to install banners in communities across the area. They will act as a friendlier welcome for visitors, but also better connect them with our businesses and our digital assets where they can get a lot more information about the area. We're also refreshing the signage on the South Loch Ness Trail. It's more than 10 years old now, and much of it is damaged, including one that has cracked perspex and a rather fetching piece of yellow duct tape. So it was definitely time for a refresh. As part of that refresh, we're going to modernise the content and again, better connect our visitors with our digital assets. We're also working with a local stakeholder group, so with Margaret Davidson leading it, to ensure that we better promote our long distance route, the African Tail Way, the South Loch Ness Trail, the Great Glen Way and the Loch Ness 360, to ensure that we're getting our messaging right and attracting a new type of visitor that stays longer and spends more. We were successful in being awarded £8,000 from the Highland Nature Restoration Fund. That's going to allow us to rewild almost 2 hectares of land on the south side of Loch Ness. And this year, after 2 years of waiting, we will finally be able to host the first Loch Ness Challenge. Taking place from the 20th to the 22nd of May, there'll be 5 fitness events taking place over 3 days, and with more than 400 competitors coming with their friends and family, it will be an outstanding event for the area and really showcase what we have to offer. Finally, with business tourism, obviously the sector's been significantly hit, but we have ensured we are present at every single online opportunity available. Recently, we attended IBTM in Barcelona, and we have a calendar full of events that we were ready and willing to attend in the coming year. Thanks to support from HIE, our team has grown. So we were 4 members of staff prior to the pandemic, and we've raised the funding to be able to grow up to 7 team members. And what that means for you is we can not only deliver our business plan, but we can expand our remit. We can work closer with our communities. We can encourage ourselves to start new projects, listening to our communities and our businesses' needs, and react and respond in a way that wouldn't be possible with a smaller team size. And I'm really pleased today that we are joined by Emma Harrison, Activities Manager at the Highlands and Islands Student Association, who is starting as a Destination Development Manager with us on the 25th of March. Throughout this time, we've been led by our board of 12. They own businesses just like you and understand the challenges you've been through, and they've ensured that we've delivered the right activity at the right time throughout. Since the last event, you've had to overcome a tremendous adversity, the likes of which our industry has never seen before, but thankfully the future now looks brighter. I believe that we have the destination and businesses to meet future visitors' needs and trends. I believe we can bring visitors at new times of the year that can responsibly protect our communities and support our recovery. I believe we can be a leading destination for sustainability and tackling the climate emergency. I believe we can restore our thriving tourism industry, and I believe that together we can make it better than ever before and do that in line with Scotland Outlook 2030 to be a leading destination in 21st century tourism. Thanks. So I'd like to hand over now to Jo to talk about social media.
Hi. So, first of all, I'd just like to say how wonderful it is to actually be here and see you all today. At the last networking event 2 years ago, I just found out that I was lucky enough to become part of the Visit Inverness Loch Ness team. And little did I know that it would be 2 years until I actually would get to meet you all in person for the first time. I've met a lot of you virtually over this period, and it's very apt for what I'm going to speak about today. I'd like to talk a little bit about our online presence. Social media has never been more important than it has in the last 2 years. The world stood still, and we've had to make sure that we've kept our destination in the minds of our future visitors, to keep them inspired for making us the destination that they want to visit when they're allowed to travel again. We were doing this in an online world where every destination was also trying to do the same. But we're lucky. We have space, nature, stunning landscapes, and an outdoor environment that has become top of a lot of people's travel priority list. We played to these advantages, and over this time we've worked extremely hard engaging with our followers and increasing our online audience. Across our channels, we are now speaking to 68,000 followers worldwide, and it's growing. The content we post can be anything from a simple photo to a link to a blog on our website or the new launched Nessie video. Our content has reached 16.5 million viewers in the last 12 months. We have grown our organic reach, and by organic, this means free. We don't pay for this content. People view it because they enjoy it and they see it and they want to engage with it. Pre-pandemic, our content was reaching roughly about 160,000 viewers per month. And I'm now really proud to say that we are consistently reaching 1 million people per month with inspirational ideas and encouraging them to come and visit our destination. Our posts included mentions of members' businesses over 2,000 times in this period. And this is the most important part of what I want to talk about today. How you can use this content for your own social accounts and make the most of the worldwide reach that we get to inspire visitors to book and actually visit your businesses. So I've put together 3 examples of how you can do this. First one is use our content that we create. Save your time and energy because you need it for everywhere else. And use the content that we provide. We're mostly active on Facebook and Instagram on a daily basis. There are posts to share that talk about all different topics from the area, from nature to history, and everything to see and do when planning a visit. Don't forget our YouTube channel, which is full of videos to share. And we also have an ever-growing number of blogs on our website on all manner of subjects about the area to inspire followers to visit. You can talk about how close you are to a particular attraction, to the city or to Loch Ness. Tag us in your content. This is a really, really big one. To put it into context, there's over 400 members with Visit Inverness Loch Ness who are potentially posting online every day. And there's just me. So social media, and social media is just only a part of my role. It's not everything that I do. And it's very easy to miss content if you don't tag us into it. So if you have got something to share, please make sure that you use the @Visit Inverness Loch Ness tag, or even just drop me an email just to let me know what you've got happening, and we'll make sure that we'll get it shared for you. To demonstrate how valuable this is, I'd like to share a few examples. I did a quick roundup of our activity from January to October 2021, specifically looking at members' content that we were sharing. The Palace Hotel tagged us in 84 pieces of content, and we shared this on our Instagram stories. In those 10 months, those Instagram stories alone reached 45,000 people, and this was a new audience to their following and at absolutely no cost. Our Facebook posts can reach anything from 3,000 to 200,000 viewers, and it averages around about 10,000 per post. If you've ever paid for social ads, you'll know the cost of promoting your business. It can reach into hundreds, if not thousands of pounds. But by working together, we can help you do this for nothing. The third thing is the website listing. We've talked about social media, but don't forget your website presence as well, or your presence on our website. A lot of our social media points to the website for visitors to plan their whole trip, and this is where they find you. If you don't have a listing, you'll not be found. And it's extremely easy to set up a listing, and by investing just half an hour, you will be visible to all of our online visitors. In February alone, business listings received between 50 to 2,000 views. And with a great listing full of updated information and images, visitors can then be on your website, booking directly with you in just one click. I'm here to help you do that, so please get in touch with me, obviously, if you want to set up your listing or to find out how to update it. As most of you know, this is a subject I could genuinely talk about probably for the rest of the afternoon, but I won't, obviously, to bang on too long. I'm going to pass you back to Michael to continue the updates so you can do the actual social part of today. Thanks for listening. I've stolen your speeches.
So, next up we're going to introduce a couple of our guest speakers. The first of which I'm really delighted is with us today. At 17, Marc Crothall joined the hospitality industry, which is just a few years ago, Marc, I think. You'll remember it well, I'm sure. You've worked across sectors in tourism and have a really diverse experience. Your time has taken you across South Africa, France, and most importantly, of course, to the Highlands. You were appointed as the first Chief Executive of the Scottish Tourism Alliance in 2012, and thankfully, as you're the only one, we're glad we made the right choice. Just recently, you chaired the steering committee that led to the creation of Scotland's National Tourism Strategy, Scotland Outlook 2030, and you're the lead industry representative at the Scottish Tourism Emergency Response Group. It is a genuine pleasure for us to have Marc with us today. Marc's going to share a few updates from his end and also provide the opportunity for any questions in the time that we have. So, without any further ado, Marc, welcome to the stage.
Michael, thank you very much for that kind introduction and reminding me just how old I am. Yes, 17 years ago. Before that, I started out as a milkman, actually, and I delivered milk into a hotel in Brighton. And in this milk float, it was torrential rain that was battering horizontal, a bit like you get up here at times. And I said to my pal who was with me in the milk float, I'm getting out here because there's a warmth of a hotel inside and I can go in. So I said to the guys, can I come and work in your business? So they let me in the door. Yes, the career of tourism has taken me around the world and to where I am today. So 10 years the Scottish Tourism Alliance has been going. But this part of the world is very familiar to me, been very much part of my life. My eldest two children were born in Raigmore. My first wife was from Nairn. And I had my only staycation in the last 2 years in Inverness. And twice, actually, I've been here to the hotel and with Frida's lovely cottage as well. So very fond of the area and understand as well, having run the hotel company in Glencoe. I know what it's like to try and put bums in beds, if that's the right expression you use, in the depth of winter and some of the challenges that you face up here. But I have to say, as others have said before me, fantastic, well done, and applaud you all for having recovered and stayed afloat. It's quite difficult when we go to government and say the industry is falling over, lots of businesses are going to collapse, and here you all are, still. So congratulations. But I think as Craig said earlier on, he's absolutely right. There is opportunity. There's a lot there to be looked forward to, but we can't be complacent because we still have many challenges that sit unanswered, and we have to grapple them. And talking with Joe earlier, I think we need to concentrate on the challenges that we can take control of and manage. There are other things in life, unfortunately, which are absolutely with our control. So the Scottish Tourism Emergency Response Group was formed very quickly at the outset of COVID, and we launched the strategy Outlook 2030 only 20 days before COVID hit, so that was good. But it's still very relevant. It's about people, place, experience, business, all through the lens of sustainability. And with that ambition and aim to how can we be the world leader in 21st century tourism. And I think, from what you've heard from Michael and the work that's being done up here, as a destination, you are very much on track to be leaders in tourism recovery and actually proving a point that actually tourism can recover and be better than it was before. And building back stronger, so it's a force for good, is very much the name of the game. But we need people. We need our industry talent back. We need to grow more talent into the sector. And there is the biggest challenge probably that we all face. And it's not just our sector in Scotland, it's elsewhere in the UK, and it's every sector in the economy. So as a collective in this audience, we all have to take ownership of that. And how do we convince not just the younger generation, but some of us that have been around a bit longer who are perhaps not working in the industry to be part of it and actually, be the great hospitable people that you are, frontline hospitality, welcoming people to Scotland and delivering those great experiences. And we have to stay competitive in doing that. 50,000 fewer people working in the industry in Scotland than there were when COVID hit. That's a big, big number of people to replace. I had an amazing night last night in Ness Walk. My date blew me out, literally, so I was on my own. Unfortunately, Fiona Campbell, who would have been here today speaking as well, got COVID. So I spent the whole evening talking to the staff in the hotel. Young Amy and the Spanish bartender, what fantastic ambassadors for this industry. But you know what, they were real people. They absolutely love the job that they do. They were passionate about the hotel. And those are the individuals that need to be speaking, and we need to unleash their potential and get them out there to be our advocates. But seriously, as a national body, our representation continues on around just how significant and how much of a challenge recruitment is. So we are working with Scottish Government and into the UK Government as well, on the UK Tourism Industry Council, to try and force some changes in the migration visa migration policy to allow some of our international European workers to come back in and start working in Scotland and living here. We're an international industry, we have to have an international balance. But equally, another initiative, and many of you, I'm not sure if you're in the room, have anybody in the room been on the Tourism and Hospitality Development Programme over the last 2 years? Michael has, one or two others, great. So there's an example of industry stepping up and actually taking forward an initiative to government to say, we may not have enough people to go and try and engage in the industry, but we have an amazing amount of talent already engaged in the industry, and they need to be invested in further still. So with colleagues, David Cochrane from HIT Scotland, who I know many of you will know, myself and Lawrence Durden from Skills Development Scotland, we were able to secure just under £2 million from the Scottish Government to implement this online learning development programme. So 2,000 colleagues at supervisory, management and leadership levels went through that programme last year, and we have another 1,500 colleagues going through it right now. Not just hospitality, there are many working in the outdoor adventure sector, visitor attractions, etc. But in the main, they're all being upskilled, and they're all being there to help attract and nurture that new talent into the business, because onboarding is going to be really important. Hand-holding somebody into this new job and making sure they stick around is going to be absolutely critical. So an example of, I guess, Scottish Government committing to a key part of the sector's challenge, or helping the sector move forward in a different way. We, of course, rising costs of doing business are not going to go away. Energy prices, I think we all are very aware just from our own household budgets, likely to be impacted significantly, and that means the costs of running businesses, your businesses, are only going to go up. And how do you offset that? And how do we make sure that we've got the right fiscal policy in place that doesn't penalise business and allow you to recover and invest in your assets and be innovative? The new 10-year economic strategy that was launched last week by the Cabinet Secretary, Kate Forbes, is all about entrepreneurship and well-being, and actually making sure that Scotland can thrive and prosper and bring money into the community. And our tourism strategy is very much about that. It's making sure we get our priorities around people, around experience, because tourism is all about experiences and fun experiences, and we probably don't do enough about advocating the fun part of our working in this industry to the many people out there who have always sort of perhaps cast it aside. But it's also about making sure that businesses can thrive and prosper. There's investment into the public realm, the place and the destinations are vibrant, and our assets, of which we have an abundance, are protected. So the ongoing investment into the Rural Infrastructure Fund, as well as other, supporting the destinations as part of this recovery initiative has been great to see. And, seeing that money administered by Visit Scotland and High putting money into up here has been absolutely superb. The journey doesn't stop. It's a never-ending cycle. I could stay here and talk for hours. But what we have, and we're saying again over lunch just now, we're the envy of many, many other destinations globally. Not just about what we have as a landscape and a great asset, but the way in which we work together, the collaborative feel, the groups, how we've all galvanized. And probably COVID has done one thing, which is really, really positive. It's made those who perhaps doubted the importance of tourism and just how much value it brings to the community and to people's lives realize just how much it actually does, because when it stopped, the world stopped. But when it thrives and prospers, everybody else can prosper. And I'm sure all of you here will go on and prosper well. And I look forward to returning to the Loch Ness Challenge to try and lose some of the weight that I put on over the last 2 years. But thank you very much for having me, and I'm delighted to take it.
So I'm pleased to be up here now to introduce our next guest speaker. Our next guest speaker is Kirtsy Ewen. Kirtsy attended Nairn Academy, which is local to here, and then progressed from there to the University of Highlands and Islands, where she studied child and youth studies. Kirtsy also worked at the Kingsmills Hotel just here as a swimming instructor, which I was pleased to find out. And her efforts surrounding young people's mental health and development have been absolutely outstanding. And in 2018, she was recognised at BBC Sports Personality of the Year with the Get Inspired Unsung Hero Award. Kirtsy's gone on to appear at quite a wide range and number of events, including opportunities such as BBC Breakfast, and we're absolutely delighted to have her here today and share her story. So Kirtsy, thank you very much.
That's some introduction to live up to. Hopefully I can do that by sharing my story with you all this afternoon. So I started struggling with my mental health when I was around the age of 12. At the time, I obviously didn't understand what it was or what I was feeling, but there was just lots of negative feelings about myself, and I became really anxious about things that I used to really enjoy doing. Due to what I was experiencing, I started to self-harm as a way to try and cope with what I was feeling. Now, I was a swimmer. My parents made me try loads of sports when I grew up, but unfortunately I'm not one of these naturally sporty people that are really good at sports. I really wasn't. It didn't come naturally to me at all, and that's important to remember for slightly later on in my story. But as soon as I learned how to swim, I just knew it was my sport, and as soon as I had learned, I joined the club and just became obsessed. When I was growing up, whenever we got asked a question of what do you want to do when you grow up, my answer was just always swim. All I wanted to do as a career was to be a swimmer and swim in the Olympics. But as I started to struggle more with my mental health, swimming became something that was really toxic for me. I've always really struggled with being a perfectionist, and I used the sport as something to punish myself with. I had really little self-worth and self-confidence, but whatever self-worth I had left was wrapped up in how I performed in the sport. If I swam well, I was happy, but always thought I could do better. And if I had a really bad performance, it felt like my whole world was imploding. And I really wish that someone could have shown me then that the way you perform in something doesn't actually equate to how good you are as a person. But I was in this really negative cycle. By the time I was 15, I was hurting myself every day, and I realised that I couldn't keep doing that and swimming. Like I said, all I'd ever wanted to do when I grew up was to become a swimmer, so as you can imagine, it didn't really have a positive impact on my mental health and my well-being. And I didn't really know who I was as a person. All I knew was Kirtsy the swimmer. I didn't know who she was outside of that sport, and that was kind of the start of a bit of a darker cycle for me. It was when I was 15 that I had my first serious thoughts about suicide, and I decided that I wasn't going to make it to my 16th birthday. When I was 15, I first attempted to take my own life. I just couldn't see a way out of how desperate I felt, and I genuinely believed that my friends, family, and the world were better off without me. The way my mental illness impacted on me throughout my teenage years, this was a cycle that continued. While my friends were planning their next birthday and their future past school, I was just thinking about my next attempt. I was desperate to just end the pain that I felt and was experiencing, and I just didn't see another way out from that. Eventually, I stopped going to school, and I really did believe that by the time I was 18, I would be dead. I spent so much time putting a face on, desperate for my friends and family not to notice how I was feeling or what was happening. I spent half my life pretending that things were okay and refusing to open up if anyone did try and ask me how I was. I didn't want to put how I was feeling onto anyone else, but I also didn't believe that there was anything anybody could say or do that was going to make me feel better. Luckily, while I was going through this really negative cycle, my active skills coordinator, Elizabeth, introduced me to sports leadership. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, what it involved, or what it really was. And going back to that non-sporting ability that I talked about at the start, I was like, this is not something that I should get involved in. But she really spent time building a relationship with me. She spoke so passionately about the opportunity and really encouraged me to just give it a go. So eventually I said yes, and I had no idea when I said that first yes what a huge impact that was going to have on my life. When she first started working with me, she had no idea what I was experiencing or what was going on for me, but she took so much time in building that relationship and that trust and continuing to do that throughout our relationship that eventually I started to tell her kind of little snippets about what was going on. And I'm so grateful to her. Not only did she start my volunteering journey, and also then my future career, but she genuinely saved my life with her support, encouragement, and perseverance. So I said yes to every opportunity that she came to me with, and I got involved in as much as possible, partly because I really did love helping people, but also partly because if I was really busy, I didn't have time to think about what was going on inside my head. I've always been really good at packing my diary full to try and avoid what I'm feeling, but it's a work in progress. But yeah, I just did as much as I could. By that time, I'd stopped going to school and I'd really stopped leaving the house. So the only thing I left the house for was the volunteering that I was doing with her. Around that same time, we were also fundraising as a group to go to Malawi to deliver sports leadership opportunities out there. And like I said a bit earlier, I had no intention of making it to the next year of my life. So there was one night I texted her and I said, look, I think I should pull out. I just, in my head, was like, someone else can take that place. I'm not going to be alive for it. And also, somebody else deserves that opportunity more. They'll make the best of it. I just don't deserve something that exciting. But she wouldn't let me pull out. And when I look back on kind of pivotal times in my life and when things happened, that night was a really kind of pivotal moment in changing the course of how my life was going to turn out. Thanks to the volunteering I did with Elizabeth, I've also had the opportunity to volunteer at a number of amazing events. In 2012, I was one of 35 young people from across the UK who was selected to work with Coca-Cola at the London Olympics. I was based in the main athletic stadium and it was my first opportunity to volunteer at a major event and I definitely got the bug. I'll never forget the experience I had. And now I'm really lucky to be a board member for Spirit of 2012, which is the legacy charity from the London Olympics. So it kind of feels like everything's come full circle. In 2014, I also volunteered on the Queen's Baton Relay for the Commonwealth Games, and I got the opportunity to meet all the baton bearers and kind of prepare them for their experience. And again, it was just such an inspiring summer, hearing all about the reasons that they'd been nominated as individuals. As well as those, I volunteered at events like the World Para Swimming Championships and the European Championships in 2018 in Glasgow. And for a long time now, I've been a volunteer with Scottish Swimming, and since 2014 have been the domestic events coordinator, so I organise the Scottish Championships on a yearly basis. But in 2019, they asked me to become ambassador for their young volunteer programme. And for me, that was just amazing to be on the other side of something. And now I get to support young people within aquatics to have their voices heard and make sure that they have a voice within their sport. I'm also a volunteer coach, and I coach around 6 times a week at Inverness Swimming Club and with HST, which is the Highlands swim team. And when I quit swimming, I never thought I would be able to be involved in the sport again. It took me a really long time to accept the decision I made to quit and the choices that I made around that. But I'm so grateful now that the sport is such a massive part in my life again, and now I get to try and help others reach their potential. I also really try to be the person that I know I needed when I was growing up and I was an athlete, and try and make them aware that I'm proud of them no matter what, and that them being happy and content is way more important to me than how fast they can swim up and down the pool. It's really nice. Other coaches from across Highlands and some other areas of Scotland have kind of asked my advice on how best they can support the well-being of the kids that they've got in their programme. And it's really nice to feel like I have value and can add a bit of a different perspective for them. But it's even better to realise that coaches are starting to prioritise their athletes' mental health over just their physical performance. These opportunities were all amazing, but I got selected to be part of Sport Scotland's Young People's Sport panel in 2016. And for me, this was a real life-changing moment again. While I was part of the panel, I was encouraged to start sharing my story through sport, to try and inspire other young people, to show them that there's hope, but also to inspire people working with young people, to try and make them look at things in a different way. My story would have turned out so differently if Elizabeth hadn't done what she'd done for me. When I first joined the panel, though, I still wouldn't talk to my friends and family about my mental health. I was still hiding everything and was really hesitant to share it. And it wasn't until I started standing in front of rooms of people just like you guys that I actually learned to accept my story. I'd spent so many years ashamed of my story, ashamed of how I felt, and ashamed of the things that I'd done and the choices I'd made. And being empowered to share that story really changed my view on it. Now I'm much more open with people around me, and it was just a really therapeutic process for me. Sometimes I do still get stuck in a habit of pretending that everything's okay when it's not, but old habits die hard. 2018 feels like another lifetime ago now, but it was another one of those kind of life-changing years for me. I was really lucky to win Volunteer of the Year for Highland and then the National Scotland Award, but nothing could have prepared me for what came next. In October, I received a phone call from somebody at BBC Scotland to tell me that I'd won the Scotland Region Unsung Hero Award. And that November, 2 of the team came to one of my sessions and filmed me coaching, filmed my kids swimming, and one of my favourite memories will forever be seeing my kids' faces light up when they were given a camera that they could go underwater with and pull funny faces with. And it was just the best experience to have with that squad of kids. But it also meant that I was heading to the BBC Sports Personality of the Year Awards, which in itself is super surreal. But the weekend was honestly one of the best weekends of my life. To actually be there was something, but I also had the opportunity to meet the 14 other regional winners from across England, Northern Ireland and Wales, and they inspired me so much. I never once thought I had a chance of winning the overall award, so much so that when they told us to prepare a speech in case we won, I just laughed and didn't bother. It was definitely a regret later on that night, but we live and learn from our mistakes. And to be honest, even when I talk about it now and I think about it, I still can't really believe that it happened. It's still just as surreal as it was on that night. But obviously winning the award was great. But for me, it gave me a bigger platform to do things like this, to share my story with more people and to try and spread that message that there is always hope. Now I'm lucky that I get to work in 2 of my dream jobs. Firstly, I work for Scottish Disability Sport and High Life Highland as the regional manager for Highland and Orkney, where I get to work to provide opportunities for people with a disability to participate in sport or to get into volunteering, and just really provide a pathway for whatever it is that they want to do. And my other job is with the Scottish Association for Mental Health, where I get to work on a partnership with Sport Scotland around developing mental health workshops and training for people who work in sport across the country, to raise people's awareness and understanding and to help them better support not only themselves, but the people that they work with within their communities. I'm living proof of the positive impact that sport, leadership and volunteering can have in someone's life. So for me, it's so exciting to be part of that project and be able to combine 2 of my biggest passions in sport and mental health. I've spent a lot of time personally over the last few years educating people around me to look out for signs and symptoms of how my illness affects me. Sometimes I'm still not really good at noticing them early on. But I'm much more open with my friends, my family, my treatment team, and with opportunities like this. Bipolar and anxiety are things that I will have to live with for the rest of my life. And at times it's still really tough. Like Freddie's spoken about, the last couple of years definitely haven't been an easy ride. But for me, I now know that I don't actually have to do that alone. And that's another message that I just really want to share with so many people, is that whatever it is that you're struggling with or you're challenged by, that there's always people to reach out and ask for help with. Within my workplace, I have a wellbeing action plan, which is a tool that enables me to stay in control of support that I need when things aren't great, from my organisation, from my managers, and my team around my overall wellbeing. And this is something that I would really recommend for all workplaces and all teams, just to be able to support your employees and colleagues' mental health and wellbeing. And a wellness action plan is useful for everyone, whether you have a mental illness or not. It's a really good tool. I've spent more of my lifetime than not hiding away and trying to mask what I was experiencing. But one of the biggest things I've learned is the importance of reaching out for that help and being honest about what's happening. One of the biggest things that I still struggle with today is the doubt that I have around what contribution I make to my teams and my workplaces. But as one of my managers likes to always tell me, I was hired because of my skill set and my qualities, not for the fact that I've lived with a mental illness. So on those days when I'm doubting myself, I now know that I have a personal responsibility to challenge those thoughts and feelings, and I have to work on those and deal with those myself. It's taken me a really long time to realise that triumph over adversity isn't I was this and now I'm not, or I experienced these things and now I don't. And that isn't what triumph over adversity will ever be, and it's not what my recovery will ever be either. And while I'm still faced with things that challenge my self-esteem, my self-worth, and my self-confidence, I now know that I can make a difference, for me and for other people. And the world is definitely better with me in it. So now I just want to share my story with as many people as possible, because I want people to know that there is always hope, no matter what they're going through. Thank you.
Just thank you, Kirsty, for your incredibly moving and inspiring story and all that you do for working with young people. We're going to move on to the next section of our talks now, which is our 3 for 3 talks. So we have a platform and opportunity with many, many businesses in the room for people to share what they do in their business and how you can work with them. So first up, I'm delighted to invite Cory Jones from Kayak Loch Ness. Perfect. There's the 5 minutes, and I'll give you a nod with this 1 minute to go.
Good afternoon, thanks for having us. We're brand new members, so it's lovely to be invited along. Kirsty, that was wonderful. Thank you for your inspirational chat. I think I'm going to reiterate a lot of what a lot of the speakers have already said this afternoon, and that is we've had a pretty tough time, and it's nice to try and get back to something akin to whatever normal was, whatever normal will be. But I think it's important as well in this sort of post-lunch spot to actually get you to do something as well. It's good. Could I ask everyone just to stand up for a moment, if you can, just stand up for a moment. And I would like you just to kind of face somebody else on your table, and I'd like you to smile at them, and I'd like to say, thanks for coming, it's lovely to be out. And if you can, if it's possible, if you could just raise your right hand, and lift it to the sky, and look carefully. This is probably the most important thing we could ever do. A bit of self-care. I would like to look at the lines on the palm of your hand. I'd like to get your hand into the light and reach across your shoulder and just give yourself a wonderful big pat on the back. Well done, everyone. Sit down. Thank you. That's great. Oh. So I just thought after sitting down for a while, it's quite nice to have a little stretch out. And actually, really what we need to do with each other is be nice to each other, be kind to each other, and help people to smile. And that's certainly what we plan to do, what we've done for the last few years with our activities is help people to smile. That's what we're really about. We rebranded last year, and we're now Highland Experiences. We were quite a small organisation up in Gaelic, but we're slowly growing. So I started kayaking a few years ago up in Gaelic, taking people out, pottering around the bay, paddling out, watching seals, coming back and having wonderful experiences. And that grew over the years, and we became associated with Shield Egg Lodge Hotel, working in their grounds, and I started to employ instructors to work with me, so we grew a little bit. And then we won this amazing award for sort of quality provision, which is what we're really about, giving people great experiences, helping them to smile. And we're now looking to grow again. So I guess on the west coast, let's just jump ahead. So on the west coast, we're quite well known, but we're not very well known on the east coast. That's why I'm here today, to kind of introduce ourselves to everyone in the room. I've got a longer background than just going back to sort of the sort of early 2000s. I also run another company, which is a first aid training business. So we're now Scotland's largest provider of wilderness first aid training. So that's another one of the hats that I wear. So this is obviously a 5-minute marketing slot, so I'm just dropping that in there for anyone who needs any first aid training. So what I'm here to chat about is what we're going to be doing this year. So we've got a centre on Skye. We're starting to work on Loch Ness, taking groups out kayaking, and we're going to do some sort of nice walks on Ben Nevis. For those people who are providers of accommodation venues who want to find out more about us, if you come to the stand at the back, you can pick up one of the flyers to put in your sort of portfolio for all your guests. And all people have to do is go to the QR code at the bottom and put their phone over it, and that'll take them straight to our website. So that's just our marketing bit for the afternoon. So what are we about? Fun, outdoor experiences, beginners experiences, so nothing too scary, not really adrenaline junkies, regular outdoor experiences just to make people happy and smile on their journey to Scotland. All of our instructors are incredibly well trained. We look after them really well. And what we try and do is work with other organisations. So certainly in Gairloch, we have a partnership with Shield Egg Lodge. On Skye, we work with Hotel Island Ewen, and we work with them going out from their grounds with groups. We're also working with some tour operators and tour providers. So we're looking to develop, working with other people in partnership. We are really interested in developing this idea of blue experiences in a nice way. So in the same way you can have your going out, enjoying green experiences, getting wellness through that. There's a lot of evidence now that going out and enjoying the sea, enjoying the water is a really good way to keep people healthy. We work to a leave no trace policy, so we try to look after the environment in which we're in. And of course, with COVID, we have to sort of show that we're good to go. I'd just like to leave you with a few pictures of people having fun, because that's what we need to be looking at and experiencing. So this is all about us. Thank you, everyone. And if you'd like to chat to us, we'll just be at the back afterwards.
Thank you very much, Cory, and welcome to the membership. We're going to move on to our next speaker now, and I'm delighted to introduce Visit Inverness Loch Ness Director and owner of I Stay Guest House, David Shayer.
Thanks, everyone, and it's great to see everyone here. I'm David. I'm a director of Visit Inverness Loch Ness and the owner of I Stay Guest House. I Stay is a 10-bedroom, award-winning boutique guest house, 23 capacity, and it's closest to Eden Court and conveniently located less than 10 minutes walk into the city centre. We also have I Stay Home. It's a 5-bedroom detached house, sleeping 9 in the city. It's on for self-catering market. We try and offer a personal service to guests looking to be in an older property with character, with little touches and knowledge from the owners of hidden gems in the area. This is just some pictures of our self-catering property we have in the city, I Stay Home. We put in a hot tub and barbecue hut to try and get more of the winter market, and it's been very successful. Hot tub apparently is one of the most searched for items in Scotland, bizarrely. This is myself. I was born in Glasgow. Don't have much of a Glasgow accent. I grew up in Elgin, but I spent 25 years working in London in financial services. I'm also a director, as I said, of Visit Inverness Loch Ness, and I'm also a founder and director of the Scottish Guest House and B&B Alliance. I'm also back doing my career in London with the COVID situation, so I'm also chief executive of a broker in the City of London. My wife Roberta is from Brazil. She's my wife and mother of our 2 young girls. We've got an 8-month-old and a 4-year-old. I'm a bit tired today because the baby was up all night, so sorry about that. But my wife's a chartered accountant by profession, and she used to work at PwC, so she's very good with the books, but she does do an amazing breakfast. Why we love doing it, we both enjoy meeting new people from all walks of life and different nationalities. We take great pride in what we're doing. We try to think of new things and new ways of doing things and what guests are looking for. We love talking about the area and recommending things to do. Very passionate about the area and promoting the area of Inverness and the Highlands. It's very hands-on, so we can make an instant difference and we can bring in ideas that we have and make an impact. What we hope to achieve, my wife actually came up with the name I Stay. It was called White Lodge before. So what we're trying to achieve is try and build a brand with I Stay. We're trying to use our business acumen and bring in ideas of what tourists are looking for these days the use of QR codes, make modern use of technology, things like USB chargers, ordering your breakfast via Google Forms, QR codes, and try and make Scotland more modern with what guests are looking for nowadays. We want to develop tourism in Inverness and the Highlands, extending out the season, and try and build more of a winter offering for the area. We want to work closely with other businesses and create a network for member benefits and being part of Visit Inverness Loch Ness. Share knowledge of things you can do. We use a lot of things like Fiverr, which you can get a lot of things, so everything from $5. Anna Money, you can pay by bank transfer within 5 seconds using QR codes, and the use of QR codes in general. Take an active role in raising awareness of issues affecting the sector. As I mentioned, I'm founding member and a director of the Scottish Guesthouse and BNLIs with 2,000 members. Again, I mentioned the use of QR codes. I'm very keen on this, using this technology. You can do simple things like create Google Maps, because I find people nowadays are no longer using the sat-nav in the car. They're wanting just to scan something, see what places to go on their phone, jump in the car, and off they go. So we've developed this, and you can do a lot of these things for free, and it's very useful for guests to help them see things in the area. How can members work with us? We're keen to develop a members benefit network so we can give discounts to each other. So, people, you send people to us, we'll give a discount. We want to send people to you, you give us a discount, and we want to create a member network, which we're very keen on doing. And daily, we have up to 23 people in the guest house and 9 people in the self-catering I Stay Home. You can get in touch with us on our website or via WhatsApp, or there's my mobile number there. Why does this benefit the members? In this COVID recovery, we need to all work together. Supporting each other's businesses and creating a network not only helps us economically, but also builds a community across the Highlands. We have 32 people almost every day looking for things to do, so we can all work together, we can all help other members, and we can all work together. It's just a summary. I did this on Fiverr just to try and promote the booking direct, because it's a big thing I'm very passionate about, is to book direct. We're giving away 20% to the likes of booking.com. It has its uses, but we need to do more booking direct. VLN, I enjoy being part of a community and wider network, helping to drive traffic to the area, competing with many other resorts in the world. We need to work more together with the likes of CityBid, NC 500, Visit Scotland, and not work in silos. Make use of sponsorship for large events rather than VLN taking all the burden. I'm very keen on developing out that. I'd like to increase non-mandatory members and make member benefits more attractive to enjoy people to join. I want to increase the things that we can offer as Visit Inverness Loch Ness, so that we attract the people that it's non-mandatory. And I'd like us to create a network, like, for example, Nairn are doing with window stickers, use of QR codes, share discounts with each other, and we all work to get out of this COVID situation. We all work together. So, if we send, say, people to you, you send people to us, we all work together and create like a network. So that's I Stay. I'll have a little quiz, and if anyone, I can give away a free bag which I designed. So how many bedrooms does I Stay have? Can anyone? 10. What's my wife's name? Okay, well, okay. I call her the boss, but I'll let you have Roberta. And what's the name of our self-catering property? I Stay Home. Well, but I don't know who wants the bag then, because I designed these myself, but I'll give some of these bags away. Okay.
Thanks very much, David. And I think with Scotland looking to be leaders in 21st century tourism, I think David is showing us an example for a small and medium-sized business what you can do. I also think almost half of those hot tub searches are actually my wife and I, to be honest. So, so I'm really pleased to introduce today's last speaker, which is Kath Findley from Walk Inverness. Kath.
Céad míle fáilte, 100,000 welcomes to my beautiful city of Inverness. That's how I welcome all my guests who come on a walk with me. If you'd come here in the 18th and 19th century, everybody, our visitors, were employing guides because most of the people in the Highlands and the Islands spoke Gaelic, and it was very difficult to navigate if you only spoke English. There was also very few roads. They hadn't started the A9. And if you think about it, 40 years ago, you would have had to get the ferry over to the Black Isle. So we've moved on a lot since then. My name's Kath Findlay, and I did my first walking tour 9 years ago yesterday. I was a project manager for an educational project, and it was 100 years since 50,000 women walked from all over Britain to London to protest that they wanted the vote. I put my hand up for the job, ended up researching the women of the history of the Highlands, and also I had to do the recce as well. I didn't know whether we would have 5 people or 500 people, but thankfully we only had 50. I enjoyed it, and everyone that turned up enjoyed it as well. So we fast forward to 5 years ago, and I thought, that would be a good thing to do. So I started doing walking tours from Inverness Visitors Centre, and I do them today. I do groups in the morning and private tours in the afternoon. And now I'm a green badge. I also guide the coaches that come in to Invergordon. So you've asked me why I love my job. And if you find a job, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's how I feel about my walking. It gives me 3 things. I get to meet people from all over the world. I also get to walk. I don't need to buy a membership. I'm walking 3K at least once a day. And the third thing, which I've got documented evidence of from the last century, I do like to talk a lot. And what I like to do is we look at the history of Inverness, the present, how people are living in the Highlands now, and also the future. And the questions that people always ask me, the 2 main questions are, when is the castle opening, and when are they getting rid of the breeze block buildings on Bridge Street? There we go. I know the answer to one, well, maybe. And also I like to share the story of my great, you know what I mean. What would I like to achieve with my business? Well, I would like to still stay a 5-star quality experience. I was in Leakey's bookshop the other day buying another book on Inverness, and actually I could extend the tour to about 10 hours, but we tried to keep it at 2. During lockdown, I realised, well, I knew before, what a fantastic place I live in. And as I was going around, I started taking photographs and small videos and sharing them with people all over the world. And I've got a small following on Instagram and TikTok. And not a lot of people do TikTok, and I could maybe do a masterclass for that. And Joe, I'm seeing yourself sitting there. I took a video of Bruce. We shouldn't have been in the building, and I nipped to the toilet, and he was fiddling away because he was going to play a concert. He's a violin. And it's had over 90,000 views as well. And at one point it was number 3 in the world for #trad music. There we go. And that's the thing about TikTok. You can get big numbers like that. Work with me. Why wouldn't you want to work with me? If you would want to promote my walks, as I say, groups and private tours, and also the coach tours. I get lots of emails, people booking tours with me, and they ask me various questions. The questions in the last week have been, could you recommend accommodation near the cathedral? Places to eat in the historic quarter? Can I get a photograph of a llama at Loch Ness? And a picture of Johnny Fox's for a guy who was a soldier here donkeys years ago. The benefits of working with me. Again, a 5-star reviewed walk. I can research people's family, their clans, if they want to come here. And also, have you thought about your staff? They could come out with a walk and learn more about Inverness. And the third thing, people come come from all over the world to spend their green pound in Inverness, and I'm very low emission. So if you'd like to work with me, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and also I've got a stand over there. So thank you very much for listening to me today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kath. And as we start Visit Scotland's Year of Stories, your business is clearly perfectly placed, and I hope we can all work with you. So as we bring to an end the speaking element of today, I'd like to just highlight a few points. Firstly, you'll notice we have stands around the room, so our businesses are there for you to talk to and interact with and find out how you can work together. We also have photographer Alan Law, able to provide headshots for you. It's a great opportunity for you to get free of charge headshots that you can use to promote yourself and your business. And lastly, just to conclude, just to say what an absolute pleasure it is to be in the room. I've said it before, it's 2 years since we were here together, and it is just amazing to be in a room together. So I'd like to finish off just by all of us again clapping and applauding everyone for making it to be here today. Thank you very much.